G'day, we're Vicky and Zach, and we are Intrepid Souls. In this episode, we're travelling down the New South Wales South Coast, checking out its amazing beaches and incredibly rugged coastline. No wonder they call it the Sapphire Coast. So come along for the ride, and don't forget to click that subscribe button. So the coastline south of Batemans Bay is just absolutely spectacular. It's just dotted with lots of beaches, little inlets and bays, and the water is just crystal clear, and it's almost like with a green tinge. So I'm assuming it's got to be where the Sapphire Coast name comes from. But yeah, lots of walks that you can do, a lot of little headlands that you can walk out to the end of, and every single one of them has a spectacular view. And yeah, it's just a wonderful little coastline drive that you can take, starting in Batemans Bay, and it goes all the way down to Maruya. Well worth it if you're down here. Stop in at every little headland that you can, every beach, every little inlet. It's absolutely beautiful. So we've come down to Maruya Heads this morning. The good thing about the beaches around the Eurobodalla coast is, south of Batemans Bay, is that there's plenty of beaches to be able to take the dog, and yeah, Buff's enjoying himself down here. The fun fact about Maruya though is that it's where all the granite came from for the piers of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. They cut it out of this area, shipped it up to Sydney Harbour, and those piers, which everyone thinks holds up the Sydney Harbour Bridge but doesn't, they're just there for show. I know that for a fact because I used to be a guide on the Sydney Harbour Bridge for a few years doing the bridge climb walks. But yeah, all that stone, all those piers came from this area. So absolutely stunning. Check out the beach. Barely a soul around. Saturday morning. Gotta love it. Well, it's been a while since I've had the opportunity to put the dive suit on and get the spear gun out, so I might take advantage of these beautiful bays that are around Mooloolah Bay, just south of Batemans Bay, close to where we're staying. See if I can pick myself off maybe a brim or something like that, or who knows, maybe even get my hands on a lobby. We'll give it a shot anyway. Oh well, that was a little disappointed. No fish to speak of. Even broke the rubber on my spear, so hasn't been used in a while, and Yeah, I guess I got to replace that. Anyway, it's just nice to get back in the water and give it a go again, and we'll get the rubber replaced, and hopefully we'll have a bit more luck next time. So we've just set up camp at a little town called Cobargo. It's about 50 kilometres south of Narooma, and we're going to use this place as a base to be able to go and see Wallaga Lake and Bermagui. The campgrounds out at Bermagui are just ridiculously expensive, so we can stay in a little free camp here just out the back of the pub. One of the other reasons I really wanted to see Cobargo is because you might remember the name from 2020 when the bushfires were wreaking havoc down here on the south coast, and Cobargo was one of those towns that was really like it was smashed by the fires. And even as I look behind me now, you can see up on the hill there the bush is still recovering from 4 or nearly 5 years ago now, I suppose it was. And a bit of the town was actually burnt to the ground. A number of houses were lost here, so I really wanted to check in and just see what it was like being in a town at the time which was affected by the fires itself as well. You know, you just feel for the people that were living here at the time. So it'd be interesting just to have a bit of a look around. By staying here at the pub, all we need to do is have a bit of a meal inside, so we're also giving back to the community. But yeah, it looks like a pretty little town just to spend a couple of nights in anyway. So Cobargo is a pretty nice little town to have a walk around. There's not much to it, but it's pretty amazing that it's still 5 years on, virtually 5 years to the month we are now, that they're still rebuilding sections of this town. So I guess it's just a stark reminder for all these townsfolk that went through this. I was hoping there'd be a few pictures up around just to sort of show and highlight what it was really like down here, but as Vicky just said to me, the people of the town probably don't really want to be reminded of it. So anyway, it's just good to see that they are rebuilding and the town is getting on with things, getting on with life. It's not a bad feed. Schnitzels tonight with a bit of Chinese salad, and I've got a spud, and we're getting lucky listening to the tunes of the Cobargo Hotel, so not a bad way to end the day.
Very nice.
Cheers. Cheers. We're on the ginger beers.
Go fast.
Yeah. Vicky does this every year, does Feb Fast, and watches the calories, and
I'm being the alcohol.
Yeah, and I'm being a supportive husband and doing it along with her this year. So I don't do it every year, but I have done it in the past. So anyway. It's going to be I've got to admit, it's pretty bloody tough staying at the pub and not having a beer. and it's pretty un-Australian, to be honest. So
it's your choice.
It is my choice.
You don't have to join me.
Oh, it is my choice, and I'm doing it. All right. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. Well guys, we've continued our journey south and we're now in the small town of Tathra, right on the bottom part of the south coast of New South Wales. And we've done something that we normally don't do, and that's check into a caravan park. Since we've started our travels, we've tended to stay away from the caravan parks. It's not really our scene, but this one, it was too good to give up. Right here behind me, behind those trees, that's the beach. So we're spot on, right on the ocean, and at $37 a night, power, water, toilet, shower, can't go wrong with that. So yeah, we're pretty happy with this little spot. Even think it's the first time we've been on the trip and actually pulled out the side awnings. So I always wondered whether we'd carrying them around for no reason, but turns out they're a good thing to have on places where you're going to be set up a little bit more permanently. The little town of Tathra itself is just a pretty little coastal town. Only thrives really during the summertime. Down here in the winter it is dead quiet. So there's a few cafes around, a little supermarket, good access to some national parks which are in between here and Bermagui. We're not really going to get a chance to see them with our dog Wolf. Yeah, just limits what we can do with him, but the beach itself is completely open to dogs, so it's that's pretty awesome for him. So we can take him down there swimming and walking every day, and the fact that it is literally 50 metres away, it's just a perfect location, perfect spot for us, and yeah, we're making the most of the nice sun while we're down here. Be sure to take on the 1.8 kilometre Tathra headland walk. Beginning at the historical Tathra wharf, it takes in the magnificent sea cliff views as it stretches down to Kayanini Bay. This walk is also part of a much longer 27 kilometre coastal cliff walk that begins in Tathra and ends in Merimbula. So this morning the conditions are looking pretty nice for a bit of a body surf. Did get the surfboard out before, but yeah, the waves are like they're super fast, so I haven't been surfing a lot lately, and I'm just not up to speed unfortunately, but I reckon for a body surf it's going to be pretty good. And yeah, it's looking a bit hollow out here too, so hopefully we can get a couple of barrels. Anyway, let's have some fun. speaking to you from not a place where we expected it to be. Our best laid plans have been turned on its head again, unfortunately. We're not heading down the South Coast at the moment. We're just going to change our plans around. So for those of you who don't know where Hay is, it's in far western New South Wales. Well, we got to have a pretty good sending off from my mate Mick yesterday. The hardest thing about full-time travel is the time that you spend away from your family and your closest of friends.